Hello, and welcome to the Green Team of the Legendarium. Welcome to episode 2 of our Saga series. We're covering volumes 4 through 6, issues 19 through 36. And with me today, I have Mr. Anderson,
Hello.
Yettibeats,
Hello.
and Kyptan.
Heyo.
Cool. So, this whole episode is going to be spoilers, basically, because how can we... can we actually talk about these three volumes without spoiling anything?
We generally give general impressions and then go to spoilers.
All right. So, let's start with you, Kip. General impressions. What do you think?
My general impression of book 2 is that it continued on perfectly from book 1.
Nice.
Uh,
Still enjoying it. That's good.
Still enjoying it. It did feel a little bit more like a middle book. Fewer things were introduced to us, I would say. But it really made me want to pick up the pace and finish this.
I see. Did you read ahead?
Nope, I did not read ahead, but I want to.
That's good. Okay. What about Yeti?
Yeah, this is my second go around reading it, just like for you, Panda, and I'm just continually impressed with this series to kind of take my expectations and just twirl them around where the story's going, specifically for on a character level, if that makes sense, on each character's kind of journey, inward and outward, you'd say. So yeah, I'm going to be the opposite of a hater in this every podcast because these are just they kind of solidified how much I love these graphic novels, and I put them up there with anything I've read, novel form included. So yeah, these I cried a few times these 3 volumes, so that's not shocking.
And Mr. Anderson?
Overall, I like them very much. I had to look up what happened in Volume 5 just now because I didn't really remember, which I don't think is a good sign. But still, overall, I think it's still great. You gotta love these characters, or love to hate these characters.
I do think that one is the least memorable of the 3, Volume 5. I do like it, but
it wasn't bad.
It
didn't have like the staying power of some of the other things.
It does have one of the most memorable scenes, I think.
Definitely one of the most graphic scenes.
So, yeah, we're gonna. I guess we will cover it. But yes, this graphic novel series, for whatever reason, if you did not listen to episode 1 and you jump to episode 2, it's very, very adult, very graphic. You've been warned. Okay. So,
There be dragons.
Yes. So let's talk about volume 4. What happened? Well, it starts off with us seeing the birth of little robot princeling.
Adorable.
Yes. We saw in volume 1, we saw the birth of Hazel, and now we see another birth. But this one is way more graphic than the birth of Hazel.
Yeah.
You get a close-up.
Yes. Things happen where we know that Alana has joined the open circuit. She's the breadwinner of the family. Marco feels like maybe he's missing out on her life because she doesn't really share that part with him. And what else happens?
We have so a big portion is Dengo. Yes, he kills Robot's wife and kidnaps the child. So you have that kind of whole, I called it in my notes, Dengo's Rampage, where he just literally some of the coolest and most vicious kills I've ever seen of this robot who's just like a janitor. He's kind of like a peasant in the robot society, and his son was killed in the war or because of the war, and he's kind of taking revenge out on people, the royalty essentially.
That's a very relatable thing where his son died when he didn't have to, like it was a curable disease. So I think
it wasn't the war, right?
It was diarrhea.
Yes.
Yep. Right. And so I think that part was pretty believable in his motivations. So I thought that was well done. We also got Alana hooked on Fade Away, the drug.
Oh yeah, there was a lot of drug talk this
Yeah.
It
book.
was.
Yep. Drugs,
I think
sex, violence. Yes.
yeah, I think that was kind of purposeful. Like the one, so like in that whole storyline, Alana and Marco, the family's kind of undercover, right? They're undercover, so no one can find them. And they meet, and Alana in the open circuit meets this woman Yuma. She's like a grass lady. She looks like a bush, to be quite honest with you, like a green bush.
Yep.
But she's the one who gives Alana drugs, to kind of calm her down, or she's always so stressed about this and that. Obviously, they're on the lam, but I really liked when I was reading it, just thinking I like Huma's character a lot. I don't know how you guys felt about her, but I actually thought she was a great addition. I thought these 3 volumes had some interesting characters. But did anyone else like notice the correlation between her and Heist, where how they kind of
Well,
use art?
they were married, right?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. They're I forgot. Yeah, it's Heist's ex, which is kind of nuts too.
Yeah.
But like with Heist, who's an author, and he kind of was like a dreamer, where he thought his books could actually change the world or make change in the world. And Yuma is like completely the opposite of that, where she thinks the world can't be changed. War is always going to happen, and so she just seeks out using drugs for pleasure and to kind of push her problems away.
Escape.
Yeah, for escapism, exactly. And I thought that was, and it's and her artwork is she's in the with Alana in the acting troupe. So I thought that was kind of a cool dichotomy of the differences in philosophies between those 2 characters, who, as you said, I forgot they're exes.
Kind of see why they didn't quite work out.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, Yuma is sociopathic in book 1.
Just a lot.
Sorry, not book 1, volume 4.
Volume 4. I did find one piece that was like a little kind of not quite annoying, but just like okay. So like in the open circuit when Alana was shooting, she says a line. Well, she was high, right, while she was shooting,
Yep.
and then she says a line that was taken from an obscure heist book, and Yuma's like, why did you do that? Do you care about your child? Like, you're undercover. She's like, nobody's gonna know. And then that was, that's how the reporters are like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's our
Could it
favorite gay
be?
reporters back on the trail.
Yeah. That was a little too, it's very much for the plot. So,
I mean, we don't know how
Yeah.
popular the open circuit is. Like, if you put things out to any internet fandom, people are gonna put things together if the fandom's large enough.
that's true.
I feel like, if anything, that was one of the more believable things.
Yeah.
Don't put out your connection to this obscure murdered author on an online forum where literally the galaxy is watching.
Yeah, that's fair.
that was supposed to
did
be
love-
like. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, man.
I love the terrible dialogue in the open circuit. I thought it was great.
Really put me in mind of telenovelas.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, I was gonna say, was that supposed to be their version of soap operas, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I really like the concept. It's like you have a live audience watching, but it is virtual. And so like you can hear what they're saying to you, but then you're not supposed to respond. That would be so hard.
That bit did seem weird. It seemed like a comment section on a YouTube stream.
Yeah. Right?
But if they could actually yell at you. And that would
Right.
never work. That would
Right.
never work.
There would be
As
so
you're
many
doing
hecklers.
I guess that would be like doing a live stream, right? Like when you have people commenting in real time and you're like trying to do your
Yeah,
thing.
but what streaming platform allows for audio responses from the audience?
Right. Yeah, like
Yeah.
you didn't invite them in.
Yeah.
We got to see a bit more of the robot kingdom. We met King Robot.
I laughed so hard.
Yeah.
At his head.
I laughed so hard at his head and his incredibly tree trunk legs, which were not gray. I was so surprised. They were flesh colored.
Yes. I don't know if he
Okay,
gets
I
them
missed
like
that.
bleached or something, or like colored, but
The
maybe that's why
anatomy
he's
to
king.
literally everyone in this book just mystifies me.
I want to know what's going on with King Robot's anatomy. There's got to be something going on there.
I'm sure we'll find out.
Like, how does he even hold up his head? I just.
With giant legs.
Incredible calves.
Well, I guess he has no neck, though.
I mean, if you lifted a giant flat screen recently, they're pretty lightweight.
Okay. What? But this is huge.
That is so funny that his head is a flat screen. It's a massive. I love that.
That's why he's king.
I found it really interesting the class differences based on the model differences of TV that your head is made out of,
Yeah.
and whether or not you have color.
Right, because color is like reserved for nobility and royalty.
Apparently, yeah.
All right, and then we saw Alana and Marco get into a fight,
Oof.
and the foreshadowing. I mean, there was foreshadowing at the very beginning, I think, or like Hazel was like, "This is, how my parents separated." But that's the thing about like
split up.
Yeah, exactly how they split up. But that's the thing is like she gives foreshadowing, but like there's so many different ways you can interpret it. So,
Yep.
You may think like, "Oh no, they're getting a divorce," but actually
I wasn't expecting the split up to happen by kidnapped rocket ship.
Yeah.
Right. I also like when she says that, like, this is how my parents split up. The frame that we're seeing is actually a group hug between the three of them, where they're giving a squish to the baby because that's what she likes. She'll put like such a cute, the squish, like such a cute and endearing picture, but the words you're reading are like, oh no, it's just this kind of
the juxtaposition.
The juxtaposition of feelings. But what I also liked about what you said, well, specifically the fight and just that whole. So they're bunkered down in hiding, right, at this random planet, undercover. Marco takes little Hazel out to the playground, and there's this, I don't know, some other parent or woman he meets, and they're living like a quiet life, similar to what they had in Volume 3 when they were in the lighthouse for the short amount of time.
Quietest.
Like these are That's right, quietest. Yeah. These are two separate quiet lives they're living, but the first one is like an ideal picturesque what you think it was, but this is also showing that these two might not be made for quiet lives, that it can be stressful, that there's good these that you're going to fight all the time and bicker. Like I thought it was kind of an interesting different look at having the typical life that they want a quiet life with their daughter, but yet look at them, they've like that one scene where they said they've never been farther apart, even though they're about to get jiggy with it. But you know what I mean? So it's interesting to see that, that's what a lot of people, I guess, strive for, and have the quiet life and simple things. But it can be, that's difficult in its own right, even when you're not hunted by alien assassins.
I am very curious about what life Alana is made for. Because it seems to be running around, she seems to be made for a life of espionage, but not actually. But it definitely seems to be what she enjoys the most.
She likes action.
And I don't understand how that squares with her ideals. And neither does Marco, but that's fine.
She's a fiery one.
Very fiery. Very unwilling to put on a mask.
Speaking of firing, Django had a lot of firing action.
He was good with it.
I mean, one of the things about this series is like there is that shock value, but at the same time, it's like it doesn't get old. It's like somebody is just like talking a mid-sentence and then bye. They have no head anymore.
Yeah, even when he killed Robot's wife, I mean, it's like some sort of spear or something that goes right through her head. Like, oh my god.
Yeah.
And she's holding the baby.
Yeah,
another great addition. I actually liked every new. Well, I think in the 6th volume or the sixth volume. There's really a character I like that introduced, but like all of them each have really cool, just interesting, tragic, I'd even say, characters. And his intro was great because you just didn't expect it. You're like, oh, this is just some janitor who's kind of pissed off at the world. And then I wrote down, Dengo robot goes nuclear. He does. He does. He's nuts.
Yeah.
I don't know how long he planned that.
I think quite a bit, but I don't know if
Didn't
the
seem like
part.
much of a planner.
I don't think he did.
He had a sword inside a broom handle.
Yeah,
That takes some planning.
it does take some, but
I think he planned like up to a degree.
yeah.
I think he planned up to the murder because he even said when we get to the next volume, kind of he had one thing he wanted to do, and they're like, no, that's dumb. That's not going to make any change at all. And he's like, oh, okay, that's true. I'll do it this way.
Yeah, he just wants to tell Prince Robot, like, my son could have been saved. And Prince Robot
I can't wait till we get to that part.
Don't forget.
Actually, he says, fantastic. And then, can we talk real quick about the brand? She meets Sophie and Gwen because she's looking for the Will in this volume. The brand is the Will's sister. And they don't get as much play, but this is when she goes looking for them and finds their ship, and they're like, well, we're just trying to find the cure for the Will, and a quick team up, which was nice.
Mm-hmm.
The brand seems much more capable than the Will.
Yes.
And by capable, I mean rational and logical.
Fewer demons, definitely.
Yeah.
But by the end of the books, one is around, one isn't. So.
Yeah, and whose fault is that?
Sophie's. But I thought it was interesting. The three most important, well, four, I guess if you count Lion Cat, the four most important women in Will's life all teaming up together to try to save them.
There were some throughout these 3 volumes. There were some unlikely alliances that occur. And then we can talk about which one we like the best. But yeah, the last section of, well, I guess it would be issue 24.
The final panel.
Yeah. But can we talk about Goose? I mean,
yeah, is he even in this one?
He is utterly adorable.
He is so cute with his little overalls.
Overalls,
giant Cadillac.
Goose had a number of panels where he's just there. He's just standing there. No dialogue, no nothing. But I loved him. I loved those panels.
Mm-hmm. And I love how he just the way he interacts with all these other characters that are so much bigger than him. Just doesn't care. He's just normal. Mr. Anderson, you were going to say something?
Why would you not want to draw him? So, of course, he's just in every panel.
He should be, yeah.
He's going to die soon, isn't he?
You have to take a break from the giant naked monsters and draw something fun every now and then.
It's all about balance.
And also Sweet Boy. Sweet Boy, too.
Is that the walrus?
No, Sweet Boy is the brand's
Saint Bernard,
dog.
the red one.
That's right.
Yeah.
Friendo is the big walrus.
Yeah, yeah. But Sweet Boy is also really cute, even though creepy.
Sweet Boy is not developed enough for me to like him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I like his darts. What are they, the
paralyzing darts? Yeah.
Yeah.
Darts.
Does he... I could never quite tell, does he sneeze those out or cough those out?
They're pretty big to come out of his nostrils.
I think...
He has big nostrils, though.
He does, but the darts are also big.
I think the little pouch that's on his
collar
neck
thing?
is where the darts are, and then he grabs them and then pews them.
I definitely thought
does
it was
he
sneezing too.
grab the darts, put them in his nostrils, and
he snorts them and then achoo. We also see how much bigger Sophie is and more mature. She's compared to when the Will first sees her on Sextillion, and now she's she's calling the shots sometimes, and Gwendolyn has to follow
or die.
Yeah.
I do want to say, because you brought up team ups in this issue, I think my favorite one, and Kip posted about it, but I think the whole volume ends with Prince Robot and Marco teaming up
Yes.
together. And I was just,
Yeah.
I like had a huge fist bump. I'm like, here we go. This is what I need in my life. Those two awesome
It was a
bros
great
hanging
ending
out.
shot for that issue.
Yeah.
I know. Right behind Goose,
Yeah.
interrupting him.
Well, it's Marco, Prince Robot, and Yuma, which is like,
I know.
okay.
Yeah.
Yep. And then eventually Goose.
And then eventually Goose. So that's volume
Tag
4.
All right. Should we go on to volume 5?
Volume 5.
Sounds good.
My first note for volume 5, Goose is adorable.
Mm,
Obviously, that was covered
yes.
already.
Yes. Well, I mean, like, I guess one of the themes, obviously, in the series is about war, right? And the impacts and effects of it. And like, I feel like overall the series does a really good job of balancing like the more serious topics and then the really silly, fun elements. And in this one, like, it starts off with more serious, but it's also very realistic because it's like, you start off with the draft, using a lottery system, but then eventually
Oof.
you basically.
That's a thing I noted on.
Yeah, what?
The transition from a draft to a volunteer army and the socio-political impacts of such.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I was like, ooh, this hits home a little bit right now. And has for a long time.
Thought the same thing. I was like, oh, right.
It just, it's a mirror. Like, it reflects very well. Very.
When you switch to a volunteer army, you switch to an army that comes out of the poorest classes of your society in general.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, why would I want to leave my life?
Why would you want to die?
Yes. Exactly.
I wrote notes kind of half, notes to recap. So the Brand and company have to go get dragon sperm. Brand and Gwen and Stephanie. Right, Stephanie. No. What's her name? Sophie.
Sophie?
Technically
Sophie.
not
Yep.
sperm.
No?
Semen.
Oh.
Semen.
Oh, semen. Thank you.
Funk, as they call it. But yeah.
This is a rated R podcast. So that's their kind of thing. We meet the Revolution, who are like these kind of terrorist kind of group. They get called by Dengo when he's kidnapped the ship. And then we have Marco and Robot buddy cop with Goose and Yuma. And I think those are kind of the three storylines that are kind of going through each one. Also,
is this when Marco gets high and remembers his past?
It is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So
that
was a great scene.
He had a bad trip, but it ended up being a good trip.
Oh, Mr. Anderson, what scene stood out to you?
Well, I was just thinking of that one with like we see his father when he's older, in the previous, what was that, volume 3 or 2 or something like that. And we get to go back and kind of see more of his kind of early family life. That was kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm. Well, and we see like why he himself is so against violence and afraid of himself, like what he would do.
That last bit especially.
Yeah.
Although, I mean, that girl kind of
was torturing his dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
was thinking that too.
Mad too.
It doesn't matter what the morality is. What it matters is that his dad beat him for it.
Right.
That
I
is
think
true
that was
too.
the biggest. I think that was the biggest thing, because I was like, I definitely wouldn't feel super guilty all those years later if they were torturing my dog. I was like, I feel bad, like I shouldn't react that way. But yeah, I think you're right. I think like his dad beating him was kind of, I think what they were trying to get across, that this stuff is passed down. He did it to him, and then he's going towards that path because he just threw a grocery bag at Alana. Still bad.
Yep.
So I mean, violence is Marco's biggest thing. He's going back and forth on if he wants to commit to a violent life ever since he's been a father. I like the line when that Mr. Anderson brought up. Marco uses those drugs, the same one that Alana did, and he overdoses. And Prince Robot kind of didn't didn't really care, wasn't even going to save him. And Goose had that line where he's like, "You need to save him. Like I'm actually like we need him," type of thing. And I think he says, what Robot was like, "I'll shoot you, get out of my face," or whatever. He's like, "I'm not scared of you." He's like, "But that person
Yep.
right there, I'm scared
Yeah.
of him more than anyone in my life." And then it flashes back to Marco and his like killing spree in the war, accidentally killing like an innocent father. So violence is always his
Yeah.
Achilles heel.
That last one, especially, I think, is possibly like alluded to being the thing that got him imprisoned in the first place.
Mm.
Like
Oh, you
that
think
was
so?
possibly his last battle,
Mhm.
and he went from that to prison, and he just couldn't stop thinking about killing innocent civilians.
That was jarring in a series full of things that jars me. I was really like taken aback. I totally forgot about that scene. I'm like, oh my
Yep.
god, with the child in the seat next to him with his dad's
Yeah.
big face half busted.
He stepped up in the heat of battle, took on an anti-aircraft weapon, and then fired on the wrong target.
Ugh. I mean, that's the other thing is, really showing the trauma of war on the people who did do those horrendous things. I think this series portrays that very well.
And the coexistence of civilians in an active war zone.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Kip, what scene stood out to you, if any?
Do you want me to say the scene?
I don't
Do
know. Do you
it.
want to talk about it? I was waiting for your reaction.
No, it was like I've been waiting for your reaction in the chat ever since you said you started. Okay, sure. We can talk about chapter 29. And we can talk about what was the other one? The chapter 20 chapter 26 and chapter 29. First, giant
Okay.
female dragon urinates on them to mark them as prey for her family.
Uh-huh.
And then chapter 29, they have to get dragon spunk, and they find a dragon in a cave with a giant penis that takes up most of the page, engaged in an autonomous sexual act.
That's more
And your
delicate than I would have put it.
And your reaction when you saw that?
I was like, oh, this is what Panda meant.
Yeah. I forgot.
But also I was like,
about
I'm
this
so
scene.
glad I'm reading this in my bedroom. And not on the train or in a public library.
Outside a coffee shop where there's a child right behind you. Yeah.
Next to my small cousins. No. I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was absolutely hilarious.
I was reading it by myself, and I still felt embarrassed. I had to look around. There was no one around me. I still had to look around.
Yep.
Like, oh my god! But that's what like Panda was saying, though. The funny and the like the funny and the serious. Like they just. You're right. That balance is so key to the series.
And because I've been reading this in issue format, I get to read the reader responses.
Do you have some to share?
I have a response from the author, from Brian Vaughan, which was someone asked him what age would he say, no, you absolutely shouldn't be reading Saga underneath this age. And he was like, well, that's kind of silly. But I would say that I was reading things like this at age 12, so that's what I would recommend easily for 12-year-old children and up.
Okay.
Is like I think that I agree with the stance of I don't want my children reading this, but I don't agree with the stance of I don't want my children reading this, and I don't think anybody else's children should either. Because Saga was one of the most targeted books for banning, though never actually got banned. Just removed briefly from the Apple Store.
I didn't know that. It's interesting.
For some reason,
but that was for book. That was for like issue 12 or whatever. That was for the stuff on Prince Robot's face.
Yeah.
Of course,
But
the murder's fine.
Is it because that was more human versus more alien? The images were more human. I think that's why.
It was in fear of Apple's terms of services.
If it's not a human or human-like, then it's fine. Apparently, I don't.
So giant 2-page dragon, okay, but little screen on one page, that's not okay.
Little screen on a small panel.
No, giant dragon penis is apparently totally fine.
I do like the commentary, like from the characters who are seeing like what is happening, and they're like,
well, if I have any experience regarding this, he'll fall asleep right after. so
yeah,
let's go then.
That was a great line.
yeah. Gwen's like, this might be easier than we thought.
Just the dragon living in a cave. What else is he gonna do, right?
Well, that's the thing, is like there are a bunch of females out there, and he's not like looking for them. I guess he prefers his own company. I don't
Maybe he's a
know.
gay
Really?
dragon.
Didn't
Maybe
the
the
female
last
say he was
surviving
kind
male
of a
dragon is
jerk or
gay.
something?
He was a jerk, yes.
Yeah.
He's
Yep.
mean.
I was gonna say men are lazy. We don't. I'm not willing to put in the work. But you're right, kid. He could have been a gay dragon. His own torture, surrounded by fine dragon biddies, but no, none of them interesting.
So, okay, I am gonna bring up Malazan because
Dragons.
well, yes, they're dragons, but it's not because of
Is
that.
this
It's
stuff
because
in Malazan?
it's because of the tone and the shifts in tone, right? Because in this particular scene, right, it is like shocking, silly, funny, but it doesn't end well for the
No.
brand. And in fact, for Sophie, because it was because of her that the brand got bitten in half. And that shift in
I
tone.
mean, was it because of the brand? Was it because of Sophie? Like,
No,
the
it's
brand
because
could
of
have
Sophie.
stayed far away.
Yeah, but she was trying to save Sophie.
Yeah, they had a plan, and Sophie. I think the point of that was, I think definitely Sophie was at fault. I think she had guilt for what she did to the will. Ultimately, I mean, she stabbed him in the neck, even though she was kind of under a spell. And I think this was trying to. I think a lot of this middle book was about redemption, And obviously Yuma will talk about redeemed herself tragically, but Sophie too. She wanted to be the one to get the stuff to save the will, even ignoring the plan that they had already talked about and rushing in. And what it led to was, the brand trying to save her, and ultimately another one of the Will's family members severely injured, actually decapitated, halfly.
I think I
More
also
than decapitated, bisected.
Yes.
Yeah, bisected.
That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
I think it was also like realistic in terms of she's a teenager. Adults were like talking about what to do, and she's like, "I'm just gonna go
And not
do it."
including her. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And she's like, I'm just gonna do it." So
Right.
that was realistic, and we'll see the repercussions of this incident. But I was talking about also like that shift in tone where it's like, ha 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 ha, oh my gosh, sad.
And
Or,
the
like,
narration had
vice versa.
been like leading us up to that a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was talking about the meaning of sacrifice there.
Yep.
Right.
And how all sacrifice is ultimately selfish.
Mm-hmm.
That's another theme of this book. Yeah, there's multiple sacrifices in this one.
Yep.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny. The will, they said, what was the line that Hazel said? Is like they don't even know what they kind of unleashed with the will.
No.
From that, and then they're like, my parents are eventually going to find out. I was like, oh dear.
Not looking forward to that.
No.
Maybe the will just want to give them lots of hugs and rainbows and suffocate them with like kisses.
I mean,
Fat
we know
kisses.
that's not true.
Not
Yeah,
yet.
that sounds like the will we know. Yeah.
I was just wondering, did you guys think the brand died too soon?
I
I kind of
so.
wanted more from
Yes. Also Dengo.
Yeah.
Like
Well-
Dengo got 2 volumes. That was it.
I feel like Dengo had a shelf life, though. There was no way he was coming back from what he did. I didn't think so. Just knowing Prince Robot, but
Sure. I would have been happy to see Prince Robot die.
how dare you?
Get stranded again.
With Goose.
Like, you spend enough time with Goose, you come out a better man.
You know what I want? I want a stuffed goose like doll, a stuffed animal of Goose. I don't
We
want to
gotta have
stuff
one.
Goose.
What
Yeah.
what animal is Goose? Is he like an
He's like,
otter?
no,
I
I
was thinking
think
that.
An
he's some
otter.
sort of seal, like an
Seal?
Harper
Oh yeah.
seal or something.
Okay.
At least that's what he looks
Yeah.
like.
Yeah, he definitely looks seal-like,
Mm-hmm.
but small. So small.
Yeah.
He'd definitely be a children's mascot,
Yes.
minus the axe.
Or an adult mascot.
That could be taken in the wrong way.
I think the male dragon could be an adult mascot.
Yeah, well, okay. Yeti, what scene stood out to you?
I might cheat and say two of them,
Yeah.
but I'll go back to Marco and Robot with Yuma on the ship. So I would say that really the last scene with Yuma, where
Yeah.
she sacrifices herself to save their ship and kind of just sets herself on fire and kind of knocks Goose unconscious so he doesn't sacrifice himself. Thank God. And it was cool how the narration where it's like she went out dying as she lived, high as FUC.
Hmm.
And just the image, but the artist did a great job with that one. Just her kind of clearly looking high on drugs as she's just going up in flames. But also really powerful. I like that scene too because right after that, when Goose comes in crying to Marco and Prince Robot, kind of saying like, Yuma died. She saved us, saved the ship, and you saw real sympathy or empathy from Prince Robot, where he's like, "That's a shame. She was like a good person." And it just little things like that where you see Prince Robot does have kind of some heart in him. That was kind of moving to me. And again, it goes back to redemption for her. I think she felt guilty for ratting out Marco and Alana, you know, to Dengo when he threatened her. So it was another way where guilt was just, pushing itself down on her. And this was what she thought she could do. So I thought Yuma was up and down for me, a little frustrating, but I thought her end was lovely.
I will say I loved all of the artwork surrounding her.
Hmm.
Her depiction, the paints and sets that she did. There was one scene where she dropped two paint buckets and they like splashed up in a very pretty way, and it later mimicked the high as F word
Right.
descriptions and also the wording that was used in other drug journeys by the characters.
Oh yeah, that was good.
The script.
So yeah, that was a big one. I did want to say though the end when Marco and Alana meet again, where they hug when Dengo they catch up to Dengo or whatever, and he wanted to like kill him or no, Alana wanted to kill Dengo. Like we should end this guy, and Marco is killing is not what we do, and they hug, and it kind of again it's just like the opposite of they looked more together than ever in that moment when they're hugging on the hill. And it's like an opposite of when they said when they were they felt worlds apart in the
Hmm.
last volume, even though they were having sex. So I thought this was a good different side of the coin. Seeing them they're closest seems like they're closest when they're fighting for something together or in
And with
action, not
Hazel, yeah,
right.
fighting for Hazel.
Fighting for Hazel or something like that. So I thought that was really a beautiful, just a beautiful image that also led into what Panda talked about when Prince Robot goes up to Dengo and he's like, "Is this the heathen that killed my wife and stole my son?" And Dengo gives that speech about his son and saying, he died, and I wanted you to know from the sickness. And kind of did this big whole spiel. And then Prince Robot's like, fantastic. And then just shoots him in the face.
Yeah. Prince Robot is very quick to trigger.
Yes,
Yeah.
he is.
Hmm.
I think he may have some issues.
Oh, really?
Perhaps a couple of daddy issues.
Probably. I did
Maybe.
think it was interesting. I think it was like in the last volume where we found this out, maybe, or maybe it's at the beginning of this one, where their titles, right? Because he was like Prince Robot the Fourth, but
Yeah.
then
It would have been inherited by his son.
right, which means
Yeah.
that there would be still 3 other Prince Robots still alive. Maybe.
I would assume his older brothers, maybe.
Maybe? I don't know. So anyway.
I can can only imagine what older Prince Robot brothers would be like.
Yeah.
Well, apparently they're making Daddy happy, so they're probably horrible monsters.
Yeah, as opposed to that angel, Prince Robot
Oh my
III.
goodness, yes. So all the scenes that you guys talked about were also some things that stuck out to me. So the only thing I'll add is when Marco and Yuma were on that bad fadeaway trip, and Prince Robot called like the surgeon, the royal surgeon or
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
and was
Yep.
like, okay, just theoretically, how would I save these people? And Goose was like right there listening. And then the surgeon's like, well, our blood is kind of toxic. Goose was just like, all right, here we go. With that look on his face and
With the
with the
axe.
axe. That's why Goose is the best.
Goose is
Oh,
not
yeah,
scared
he's
of
a
Prince
good-
Robot. We covered this.
Hmm. Yep.
So should we talk about the revolution at all? They reminded me like of a Dragon Ball Z clan of just like I was just they're all I don't know this like colorful group of terrorists. All I don't know. I thought they were kind of interesting.
I feel like they were the heroes from a different sci-fi series.
Yes.
But
But
like
an evil aligned party.
yes,
Oh no, in
At
their
the very
series,
least,
they're the good
neutral.
guys. They do all the good things. It's just
didn't they bomb like children
daycare
an
center.
orphanage or something.
They bombed a
Center, that was-
daycare center.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
And also like a concert hall or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they're not against hurting civilians.
They're Jet from Avatar.
Oh. If you know, you
Yeah.
know.
Except adults. So much less pardonable.
Yeah, just that. I mean, they didn't bring too. I mean, they were like you said, they were kind of filler, like story of the week type fill-ins. But I did think they were kind of interesting and just cool art. Like they're all different types of aliens coming together. Did anyone notice? So I just one note I did have. So Marco and the robot both had like these nightmares while they were sleeping, and one was like I think one was of Alana and him, making love, and her face turns into like this evil monstrous face, and Prince Robot has a nightmare with him and his wife and happy child,
Ooh.
and then her face turns into her being like shot in the face with a broken window. And I thought that was a cool kind of both of those two have something in common where they have these demons of kind of letting down their partners, so to speak, in different ways. So I thought that was interesting.
I was honestly surprised how much of Prince Robot was left after the last book. I was kind of expecting a almost complete memory wipe of the dude.
Yeah.
And I know I have very little reason for that, but I was kind of expecting a more drastic personality change than what I feel like I saw.
Yes, I agree, because we see that shot of him restarting in Quietus kind of thing,
Yep.
and then he just ends up in Sextillion in like a sex days or something like that.
Yeah, and I kind of thought that like he would be like on Sextillion because he had no memory of who he was actually supposed to be or where.
Yeah,
And
I think
like
it
they were going to take advantage of him for a while.
did seem like it was going in that direction, but maybe they made a change. But I do think, to your point, I do think there are changes in him. Like I said, that the moment where he feels sadness for losing Yuma, I don't think the previous Prince Robot would have had that, the pre-restart one. And I think there's another instance in the following volume where he, we'll talk about it, but Alana sends off, Marco goes off to save certain someone, and he says to Alana, like, I hope he comes back okay. He has like shows great care for them, and there's these little moments where you're like, oh, Prince Robot actually, like I said, I think he is slightly changed, and I cannot remember what happens in the next 3 issues, so I don't have any spoilers. I don't know where it goes, but I think he is changing.
Okay.
Cool. Ready for volume 6?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, let's do it.
Volume 6. Well, volume 5 left us in this cliffhanger moment where we see Hazel a bit older and she's with other children in this like classroom setting. And then the beginning of volume 5, we find out where they are now. Did you have Yeti? Did you have a recap for Volume 6?
A little bit. Volume 6, you mean, right? This is where we find
Yeah.
out where they are now.
Yeah.
Yep. So Hazel is now with a teacher in a classroom full of kids in this like security prison with a bunch of inmates, but they have a little school there. The Will meets up. Well, first of all, Fat Will. The Will is now very fat. He seems to be eating his feelings away, and he's trying to hunt down
Prince Robot.
Prince Robot, but he meets up with our two favorite reporters. So they're on their own little storyline, the three of them. Alana and Marco are back together again, hunting down for their daughter, trying to find out where they are, going on cool heists. They seem closer than ever. They say they're not going to have sexual relations until they get their daughter back, which obviously did not last at all. So they're in a good place theoretically. And then Robot is on an island with his son, and who else but Goose? They're just hanging out, peaceful little island by the water, the sea, and Friendo. And it's just beautiful. It was like I brought tears to my eyes just seeing that little foursome together. So I think those are the three kind of revolving stories. And also, Marco's mom is also in the prison with the Hazel, and she has tattoos.
She has tattoos. You have
She
tattoos.
changed.
That does seem to be her major development over these 3 volumes.
She's taken a little bit of a backseat.
Yeah, I used to like her, and in this volume I did not so much.
There wasn't much of her.
See, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, even when she's present, I don't feel like she's actually doing all that much.
I think she got a lot of panels in these 3 volumes, just not a lot to do in them.
And she got a lot of panels where she was speaking in a language that we couldn't understand.
That's also very true.
That's a good point.
I also wanted to point out, too, real quickly, there's been very, very little Isabel in the last 2 issues. Nearly none.
It's been so bad.
Until this one, I think we get more. But I did want to point that out. She's talking about taking a back seat.
But they were on this planet where it was like daytime all the time.
Yep.
Yeah, I get
it. Boo. Pun intended.
She does seem to show up mostly when like her illusions are needed and not else.
Yeah, that's true.
So she did give that lovely talk in volume 4 where she talked to Alana and like told her, "Hey, you're being stupid."
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Margot shouldn't have thrown some groceries at you, but you also shouldn't have like told him to leave and not come back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, actually getting to know Isabel's like backstory about her and her girlfriend, who then like she broke up with. Yeah, that was sad.
Yeah. Okay,
Kip, anything in particular that stood out to you in Volume 6?
Ooh, well, let's see. The Will has a death wish. He wanted to die. He just wanted to die and no one was letting him. And you know what? The world would have been better off.
No, come on.
No. As of right now, I think the world would be a better place with the Will dead. If he had just succumbed to the coma, his doctors had said, "No, we really think you should unplug him."
What do you think will kill him first? A sword to the gut or diabetes?
I think it's all the drugs he's taking, actually.
I don't think he's going to die.
He's so fat?
I think he's going to survive.
Yeah.
I think he's just going to become an awful person. I think he's going to kill
a
whole bunch of people.
I was shocked that he was so big. I was like, oh man, poor guy.
He's going to be happy in his heroin addiction.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, it's interesting. I think it's interesting that he still has the stalk, the figmentation. In his imagination, the stalk is still kind of talking him into these bad choices, which really is just his subconscious talking himself into bad choices. But at the end of the book, we kind of get a twist on that, and I kind of felt that was kind of interesting to me. I'm curious why it's so snapped.
He was angry at being revived.
You're right.
Like, that was his first reaction. He was angry.
Well, is it because Stock is dead, and he's like, well, then I've lost my will to live?
I mean, that's definitely a big part of it. But I think also, even without the Stock, the man was losing the will to live. The man did not see a future for himself and still doesn't.
Why is he named the Will?
I'd love to know.
Right.
I would love to know. But when she was saying, like, put a baby in me, he responded with abject fear.
Mm-hmm.
Because he does not think that he has a future.
Right. That's something to live for that he...
Yep. He doesn't have a separation from his job. He doesn't have a personal life. He just has what he does, and then he moves on to the next target.
And he has no family.
Ugh.
He has no, anyone close to him, especially not since his sister died. The brand died. I mean, I think that was kind of the struggle. I think he was always teetering, like you said, especially when the stalk died. But I think that was kind of what broke him. The last person that he truly cared for and actually cared for him, looked at. It was like a big sister. I don't even know if she was older than him, but she acted like a big sister towards him. And now he just has her dog.
I think he still cares for Sophie, but it's not enough. And she can tell it's not enough, and that is brutal.
And he pushed her away. Her and Gwen.
Yeah.
And Lion Cat. So
how could he do that to Lion Cat? Come on.
Devastated.
Such a faithful sidekick.
Because he's trying to commit suicide.
Yeah.
So he's pushing away the people he wants to
protect.
To
Yeah.
He's got a massive hedgehog complex.
Fewer people that could save him too. Theoretically.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good point. I didn't put that together. I just thought he was on a massive rampage. But yeah, it's more that he wants to lead to something that could kill him. Because he knows Prince Robot could probably kill him.
Oh, yeah. Prince Robot has a very lethal weapon.
What, the bow and arrow?
No, his arm.
Yeah. Well, you could take that many ways. But yeah.
Other things that struck me from this volume. Oh, when the gay reporters outed a councilman to survive.
Yeah.
That was intense. What else? Oh, when they finally got stranded, one of them was significantly happier than the other. And what else? Oh, Marco's Beard of Sorrow was a fun addition to the series.
The beard
looks good with the beard. No, yep. Come on.
I liked his beard.
Yeah, me too. Well, spoken by two bearded guys.
Yeah.
Oh, and the trans prisoner in the women's prison.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of my favorite new additions.
Yep.
Let me see. Petricor? I do not know if I'm reading that. Petricor. Okay.
It's a real word.
Petricor.
It's the smell of earth after rain, or smell of dust after rain.
Mm-hmm.
It's all of the oils that plants give off reactivated by fresh rain.
I love that smell. And
they make candles with that smell.
I don't believe in them.
So, can I say why I love that character so much?
Mm-hmm.
And they're one of my favorite additions. Sure. So they so clearly have a bond with Hazel. You can kind of tell from the start that they're both two creatures that are going through the same thing. They both have different bodies, so to speak, that are kind of society judges them on. And I think they find a commonality in that, and they learn to be, proud of their differences. I think Hazel with her, she has wings and horns. And I think this person is going to become like just a figure in Hazel's life that to look up to find commonality in. Because she can find commonality in her mom and dad separately. But this person is someone who society looks at as different, just as they look at Hazel as different, just by showing how the teacher faints when Hazel shows she has both wings and horns, and mostly frowns upon.
Societally discordant body parts.
Right. So I just love that they had a character, honestly, a real life character. I mean, we have people that look like this that are judged too negatively, and to put that in our society. So to have that in there with Hazel, I just love that. I think it just brings a whole new dynamic to Hazel's story.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Not to mention she punches Alana when she first meets her.
I mean,
Alana deserves to be punched sometimes.
For sure.
But in this case, she was just what?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Yep.
Not one of the times,
yeah.
No. The Will deserves to get punched a lot.
I imagine he will.
How about you, Mr. Anderson? What stood out to you in this volume?
I loved the teacher. Like the praying mantis teacher lady.
She was a lot of fun.
Just even the little things like her saying, "Oh, I take the smocks home to wash them myself." So I was like, "Oh, I don't know, I just really liked her addition, what she added to it, her relationship with Hazel."
And
She
she's like, I'm
fainted.
gonna help you escape.
And she did it in such like a it was such like a stupid way too, you know.
I'm gonna put you in a box.
Marco had this big plan with teleporting and stuff, and she's like, cardboard box. This should do it.
Oldest trick in the
And there
book.
weren't even any smocks on top.
I know.
I know.
Gosh. Yeah, but
I
she was
appreciated
sweet.
her, yeah, kind of as like a regular person who does good in the world, you know? It's not a military hero. Like, because, you know, Marco and Alana kind of look like heroes to us. I know they're the main characters, but this is just a regular everyday person who sees that this young girl is probably could be in danger because of the way she looks and does what little she can to kind of influence that. And I thought that was kind of, you know, beautiful in its own way. You know, she is a hero, but she's just a elementary school teacher who could have, you know, one wrong other decision she could have told on them. Say, it's not my problem. I'm
Oh,
seeing
yeah.
someone who's wrong. I'm just reporting this. The easier thing and obviously the less moral one. But, you know, there's everyday people who do that kind of stuff all the time. So you're right. She was a great character for the little time we see her.
Yeah. But man, that fainting.
Scared me
I
at
was so
first.
sad I thought
Pool of
he was
blood by
dead.
head.
Yeah.
That would have been very bad.
Well, and then
Poor
Petrichor
Hazel.
was like, do you want me to finish her off? Because I can if you're afraid that she's going to tell.
Very reasonable, which made me like Petrichor.
Willing to do the dirty work.
Yeah. To protect Hazel.
Yeah, you got to protect yourself from being outed. Petrichor understands that.
I was just gonna say that's someone who's gone through life, having those people make the wrong decision. You know what I mean? Have
Yep.
told on her, you know, judged her. So that was interesting.
What about you, Yeti? What stood out to you?
Oh man, where to start? I guess I'll say, yeah, I'll go for the cheap one. So when Marco goes to rescue Hazel, and it's a scene where they reunite, I cried. I cried before I was a stepdad when I first read it. Now that I am a stepdad, I cried. Yeah, that was beautiful. Where she pops out of the box, and first he sees her for the first time, you know, grown up after years, and
Yep.
he gives this kind of. She gives this speech, Hazel from the future, about how her dad loved going to school. He liked going to the bus and waiting, even though you never know who would, like, if he'd ever come home again, type of thing. And that's why he likes school, because, you know, there's always a chance he got to go home. Something like that. I'm butchering it, but it was really well done and heartfelt, because the last scene with them hugging, and it was just like, oh, it's so, I don't know, gave me warm bunnies inside. Because I was kind of, you know, that's what we're waiting for, them to be reunited. There's just so much from the previous ones that kept kind of blue balling you. We're like, oh, this happened. Now they're separated. Now this happened. You know, now this person's separated. And to finally have some sort of like, oh, they're safe in each other's arms, at least for this period of time. And it was just a nice sentimental moment. And I don't want to say too much more on that, but yeah, it was definitely impactful for me. I also want to say a funny one that made me laugh. Actually, like probably was my favorite, like, funny part. So when the Will like kidnaps the two reporters and is dragging them around, and I guess this like sea creature, this like sea dragon, pops out of the ice and then immediately attacks the Will and goes to bite him, and he like grabs both his jaws, and he's like struggling to keep it open, and then it just shoots to the reporters, and he's like, please kill him, please kill him, please kill him, please kill him.
Yes.
And then the Will just snaps the creature's mouth and kills it. But I thought that was so funny, where they're just their relationship with the Will, they're just like they hate that fact so much.
The photographer especially is growing on me.
Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, I thought that was I don't know, a lot of good pairings again. They really do a great job with pairing with who. Even like when Marco and Alana, they're like, oh, we know where Hazel is, but we're going to need some help. And of course, that's when they go and find Prince Robot and bug him to help him out. And he's like, I don't want any part of this. And then Goose just guilts him into it. But just the back and forth between Prince Robot and Alana and Marco, where he kind of just says mean things to them and they laugh it off like an old friend. Like, yeah, whatever, you old lug. It was kind of heartwarming just there. Just fast forward to right now, the kind of relationship they've had compared to, you know, essentially the first part of the story. He was hunting them, you know.
Yeah.
Did you have any, Panda?
Well, there was when Alana and Marco went back to where they dropped off Prince Robot and the Princeling to convince Prince Robot to help them get Hazel back. And the way that they did it was I really enjoyed that part where they were basically like kind of egging him and then ultimately using his son against him.
Right.
Like, oh yes, our daughter is a fair maiden. He should go save her.
I
And
liked the robot racism where they couldn't tell the prince from the count.
oh yeah. And the prince was like, we look so different. Well, we can't tell. But yeah, and then ultimately like that alliance again where they go and actually execute the rescue. That was fun. Yes. I enjoyed
Oh,
that.
and I've stayed quiet about the technology and the plausibility of various elements of this story, but a planet chopped in half and still being totally fine.
Not reasonable? No?
Just a little, just a scotch.
I'm surprised that's the first thing that.
Look, I've been very good.
You know, the name of the planet is like
Demimonde,
yeah.
half world. Yeah, I know.
So, there you go.
Yeah, having a different name makes it totally more plausible.
It's a galaxy of wonders. You never know what you'll find.
Clearly.
True. Also the Will punches Goose. So the Will is on my list. I mean my
I'm
bad
glad
list.
we brought that up.
Well, Goose cut off
Yeah.
the Will's fingers, so.
I was just gonna say, I love that scene.
As he should have. So
You should have cut off more.
yeah.
Next
And
time, go for the
also-
head.
Yeah.
Yep.
Also, is there another new baby mix?
Apparently.
Yeah.
New baby. From who is what I want to know.
Well, I mean, Marco and Alana.
I'm assuming Marco, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
They
don't know.
They had that scene where they broke their vows, so I'm assuming that's when it began.
We also had a scene where Marco like almost committed infidelity, and by almost I mean was quite a ways away from committing infidelity.
For him, it was almost.
Oh no, I touched her hand.
But
Yeah.
I would not put it past this story to show that Alana had committed infidelity off screen somewhere.
You never know.
And we're going to get some
I like that.
flashbacks.
I'm pretty sure it would have been on screen if it had happened.
I don't know. Shock value.
I like that image of them when they find out. Kind of reminded me when we first meet their parents. The image of just those two. One has a shocked face, the other doesn't. So I looked up the line because it was making me laugh. Where the Fat Will, was about to kill the child, and all you see from the corner is "hurt the boy, and Goose will chop you deep."
Yeah.
And he's standing on Friendo with his axe.
Yes. I love it.
His trusty steed.
I know.
Frendo's his favorite.
Friendo was the best of the litter.
Mm-hmm.
Goose had a feeling.
The best of the litter. That's so fun. And then also Goose said, "Oh, what did he say? Oh, he said something about he swears on the treasure of House Goose." I was
Yeah.
like, "Ooh, tell me more about this House Goose and wealthy family's treasure." This is a great backstory.
It's just the axe.
It's
It's a
actually
heck of
the
a job.
walrus. The pack of walrus.
Yeah. How could the Will punch him? It's like punching a baby.
No.
The Will has punched a lot of things.
Well, the Will is also drugged up, so
Yeah, but the Will is also a professional assassin.
that's true. But then when he saw Sophie, he was like, "Oh no." So,
Well, he wasn't being hired to kill Sophie, and Sophie had done nothing to him.
that's true.
Had no reason, motivation, or incentive.
Yeah.
It does seem a little opposite of like Prince Robot though, where like in the beginning, like you said, the Will did seem to have like a heart where with Sophie, and now it just looks like he's going down a dark path.
Oh
Whereas
yeah.
Robot from the start was just did not have sympathy or empathy for anyone. Now is slowly building up kind of a family unit, and feelings and some sort of a heart.
Yeah.
Becoming a real boy.
You gotta wonder what it takes though if killing the stalk is the thing that sends you off the deep end.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, that's what
professional
the-
assassin.
What the brand that is his subconscious tells him, right? It's
Yeah.
you're not actually missing the brand. You're just missing who you are when you're with her.
Hmm.
Stalk. Yeah. Or brand. Yeah. So that is interesting. I liked how it ended with him, that he kind of just walks away because he has a different subconscious now telling him that that's not this isn't going to change anything. It was kind of a sharp turn for me. I'm surprised that stopped him so quick, but I was happy for it. I was relieved.
Yeah. I'm not excited about him. I'm not excited about him.
Any predictions from Kip or Mr. Anderson about what's going to happen in the next 3 volumes?
Yep.
Baby's gonna be born and it's gonna have a flat screen TV. I don't know.
Robot, you dog.
Mr. Anderson?
Yeah, I'm hoping to see more Goose. Hoping to see more Petrichor. I'm not sure this baby's going to Hazel hasn't mentioned a sibling so far in her asides, in her monologue.
Good
Her
point.
narration.
Narration, that's the word. So yeah, I'm not sure we're really ever going to see this sibling.
I honestly don't remember what happens in the next 3 volumes.
Yes, you
I
do.
guess we'll find out on the next episode of
Mhm.
There's
Team
definitely
Read
something
Saga.
you remember.
Okay, there is something I definitely remember, but then there was a
Yeah.
lot of things that I don't remember.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, me too.
the
But there's
dragon and the
definitely
naked giant meat.
something.
No comment. No comment on anything.
Yeah.
Who's like? So we know the Will is like
What
Kip's
is the-
least favorite.
What is the average of giant dicks on page? Like,
One every couple of volumes. I don't know. I don't remember.
okay.
Okay, so Kip, the Will is like your least favorite. I actually am not that big on the reporters. They were kind of annoying.
I like them slightly better in these 3 volumes than when we first met them. I like pairing them up with the Will.
Yeah.
Kind of that relationship. But yeah, other than that, it was fun kind of seeing them realize that they're no longer bound to that spell. They immediately talk about it.
Bargon.
Yeah. So, but yeah, they're definitely the least interesting to me, but I think they're necessary. I like that perspective. I think
Yeah.
you brought it up last time, Panda, where we see different types of the world through them, where they're interviewing other people, and
Yeah.
So
I appreciate them, but then I also, they're just my least favorite arc. Also,
Even though they
like,
gave us great sex position.
well, they were talking about work while they were doing
That
it.
really annoyed me.
I know.
Like,
That annoyed me too.
Like, come on, it makes it more
Look,
like
they're
it's
married to
just
their
a
job
habit.
too.
Yeah. Okay.
it's just not a great sign for their relationship. Come on, that's
no.
There were a lot of not good signs for their relationship in this book.
Anything else people want to share before we close out?
I don't. I guess I'm just excited for Mr. Anderson and Kyptan to read these next 3 volumes, and for all of us to be caught up. It's. I'm not going to say anything, but much of the same. I guess you could say. I'm excited. Like Panda, I kind of forget a lot of what happened, except one thing. One thing, but
I hope they go 3 for 3 in birthing scenes.
Would you guys say anything has been any volume has been a disappointment? Are you shocked how I would say consistently great this series is? Not to toot its horn too much, but it seems like you guys, none of us really have that many qualms. Which
No, I'm very happy with it so far. I mean, I'm only 2 books in, but there's only 3 books, so.
I remember the first time reading it, the 6th volume was my least favorite. I can't really pinpoint exactly why I thought that at the time, and I think this time around it's still the same. Like the 6th volume is just not quite as good. Probably because of the reporters that annoyed me.
Hmm.
But
I felt like Volume 5 dragged.
mm.
I loved Volume 6. I'm sad to hear you say that, but
Oh well, it's okay. We can disagree. You can be wrong.
Yeah,
Oh.
number 5 had the most like revolution bits, and I
Right.
was like, well, I don't think they're gonna last very long. Somebody's gonna kill them.
Uh-huh. And voila.
There were just so many potential people who could have killed them that I was in suspense.
Who will get to it first?
Yeah. As always, Dengo. You should have known. If you could revive any character who died, who would it be?
Bar.
Yeah, I think
Gone
so.
too soon.
Gone too soon.
Very impactful.
Oh, I got it. What the author? Heist?
Mm,
Nah.
Oh, that's a good
Oswald?
one too.
Oswald,
Huh.
yeah.
To meet
Oswald.
Yuma
Nah.
again?
He wrote his books. He's good.
But him and the grandma.
Grandma.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So
She's living a better life now. She chose to stay in jail.
she had an actual husband that we could bring back.
Okay, that's true. That's true. Very fair.
I would bring back the woman owner of Sextillion, who Prince Robot just shoots. in
Really?
jail.
Mama's
No.
son, really?
No.
Really?
I was trying to think of the worst person to bring back.
Ugh.
No,
Pivotal.
I'd bring back the brand if we're
Yeah.
Hmm.
yeah.
Actually, yeah. If I think Bar, like, he did get to live his life, so I would say the brand because I think she would have had more potential.
How about another gay dragon?
You just want him to be happy.
Can you imagine the spread?
I just want to see what Fiona would do.
Yeah.
I have an
This-
idea.
This artist, quite the imagination. All right, we ready to wrap up?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Well, that was our discussion for Saga volumes 4 through 6. Hope you enjoyed. Connect with us on the Legendarium Discord. The link can be found on thelegendarium.com or on Twitter. Find us at Green Team Pod. And thanks to my fellow panelists, Kyptan, Yettibeats, Mr. Anderson. I'm BefuddledPanda. Until next time. Bye.
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 See ya.